It's betting time. I'm Lawrence Presman. You're watching WagerTalk Today. We've got a ton of bets coming your way. We're going to start the show with Andy Lang, and he's got two NFL prop bets for us. One on the Cincinnati Bengals-Washington game. Yes, 3 days early. And one on the Philadelphia-New Orleans Saints game. After that, we got Gianni, the Greek, coming in like a tornado, as always. He's going to look at, what did Dan say? Put your hand over the camera when you, oh, yeah, my camera's out of focus, everyone. Teddy, tell everybody what Gianni and Mad Russion are going to do.
Sure. Gianni's going to talk about Tennessee and Oklahoma, a game that I'm also going to talk about in my big game breakdown, I believe. We're both on the same side in that one. He's also going to talk on Sunday, some NFL action, the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. And, of course, the Mad Russian's coming in to close out the show. He's going to talk about Saints and the Eagles, Colts and the Bears. Prez, with his daily presidential address, is also going to talk about the Bears and the Colts. And like I said, with my big game breakdown, we'll talk Tennessee, Oklahoma. In What Bettors Learned, we're going to talk about something that happened last night that's never happened ever. I wrote it in the Slack as holy bleep Otani, but that was whatever. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But let's start with Andy Lang. Andy, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Oh, man, it's a crazy day. I know Prez is golfing today. Prez, I got you beat. I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Portugal for a week-long golf trip, and I cannot wait. It's an insane day. Yes, sir.
Firstly,
yes, sir.
I'm out. Firstly, I didn't know you golfed. Secondly, a week-long golf trip. Thirdly, I wasn't invited. Fourthly, my daughter is in Lagos right this very minute. So,
nice.
So if you bump into anyone who looks like the Prez, run. Because you need a break, Andy, and I respect that. So, honestly, how many days are you going to golf?
5 days in a row. I've never done a trip like this. I am golfing with my Irish friends. Two of them grew up playing with Rory McIlroy on the Irish Juniors Tour.
So
I am
basically,
in for a long week.
So basically, you're going to get completely hammered and sing miserable songs about dead people on boats.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. Yeah. What a week. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. I pulled over to do my spot in the ghetto, so I apologize.
Okay, brother. Well, we got to get on with this because both Teddy and I have a hard stop and have an incredible trip, man. I am so jealous. I need to know about your prop bet on Joe Burrow, and I'm also curious about your handicap. I'm a 17-18.
Well, I have to do the handicap on the Stableford system because I'm golfing over in Europe, and I still haven't quite figured it out. It all depends on the course. Let's do these props because I got a heart out too. Joe Burrow over 1.5 touchdowns. He's playing the Washington Commanders. This is the worst secondary in the league, in my opinion. They've given up 6 touchdown passes. If you have a quarterback playing the Washington Commanders, and the line on passing touchdowns is 1.5, you take it over. They gave up 4 to Baker Mayfield. That was an easy cash the first week. And then they gave up a couple to Danny Dimes, I believe. So Burrow he's gonna light this team up. Jamar Chase is probably a good over here. Whatever we're doing, we're fading the Washington secondary. I got 2 units that we're looking to fade. It's the Washington secondary and it's the Indianapolis Colts rush defense. So just blindly fade the Washington secondary, and I'm going to do it with Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Next prop, we're going to go with Jalen Hurts over 9.5 rush attempts. We always say it's so much better to not give out a loser rather than hold in a winner. But man, I can't believe I didn't put out Jalen Hurts over 9.5 rush attempts last game. He had 13 rush attempts. That makes it 2 games in a row with 13 rush attempts. No A.J. Brown. They got to get the offense moving somehow. Saquon looks good, but there's just not a whole lot going on with the passing, and Jalen Hurts is running. And don't forget about the tush push. Anytime he does a tush push, that counts as 1. Any kneel downs counts as 1. He's going to go over this again. I'm stunned that the books leave this at 9.5, especially when he's had 13 in a row. So Burrow over 1.5 touchdown passes. Jalen Hurts over 9.5 rush attempts. You're playing this Jalen Hurts prop as long as A.J. Brown is out, and you're playing against the Washington secondary moving forward.
So I'm going to ask you one follow-up for the two, and that was going to go with Burrow's touchdowns over 1.5. Of course, you have to lay a fair bit of juice to do that. You talked about the Commanders' weakness in the secondary, and that is true, but it's not like they're really good against the run either. If Cincy has a lead, won't they just be running the football, and aren't they not going to throw the ball at all that much? That's my biggest concern here is Burrow's not – I wouldn't take Burrow's pass attempts over in this game, which makes me nervous to take his touchdowns over.
If they get a lead, it's probably because they've thrown a couple touchdowns. Honestly, to get a lead, you got to score, and I think they scored through the air. Teddy, if you've done any film on Washington, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you looked at them. They're bad.
Abysmal.
They're really, really bad. Abysmal. I think they're the worst. I thought my Colts were going to be one of the worst in the league, and it turns out my Colts, they're the worst at the rush. So we're just fade this Washington secondary.
Andy Lang, everyone. Andy, again, have a monster trip in Portugal. You're as good as they get in sports betting. So what do you have for the clients this weekend?
So we've just put up one football package. It's got college and NFL. I just love the strategy we have with college. We do one play a week. We started that last year. We're 15-5. We hit our best bet in college last week. We've got 2 props that are up. No surprise, we're fading the Colts rushing defense. We talked about it on Bet On It, which, by the way, if you're not watching Bet On It, you're missing out. Absolutely great stuff. So I talked about a really good prop to have there. But all plays for football are in one pack, and it's half price Friday. So no better time to grab that. We're up 140 units for this week. We're looking to extend the football profits with the college, especially this week. So grab that. You get all college and NFL plays.
Andy freaking Lang, thanks for joining us. Teddy, what did I miss a memo? Half price Friday. What's going on?
All packages for today, half price over at WagerTalk.com. Yes, you missed the memo. It is a deal and a half. You can get anything right now. You'll see the packages they're priced half off. I got a bunch of them. I would assume you have a bunch of them too, Lawrence, but I guess you don't. But bottom line, half price packages on everyone's page at WagerTalk, and I believe they're doing it a sports memo, or at least a handful of cappers are doing it a sports memo as well.
Well, I missed that memo, Teddy, and I am now going to adjust. So just for the record, Sunday's plays, if up today, are half price today. Is that correct?
If you haven't posted it already, anything you're posting today is half price, yes.
That is an incredible deal. Guys, I just faked that I didn't know about that deal so that we could talk about it longer. Come on. Give the Prez a pat on the back. Okay, Teddy, before we get into what it matters learning, we got the Mad Russion and Gianni the Greek still to come. So much NFL we're going to discuss on the show today. We started the show off air where you mentioned that you were able to click onto the NFL presidential address. By the way, guys, over 10,000 of you have watched that show already this week. So thankful for the loyalty and trust you put in me. I love doing that show. But I'm in a suit in that show. I got a beautiful button down and a nice blazer. I look good. And you come on and you're like, Prez, you dress up for the NFL presidential address, but you don't dress up for Wager Talk Today. And I was like, well, Teddy, I got lazy at the beginning of Wager Talk Today, and I would wear T-shirts. I think we were in the middle of COVID or something. And it became my sort of staple. I wear a T-shirt, you wear a blazer. So my question to my lovely, wonderful audience, my fans and haters, starting on Monday, would you prefer to see me wearing a blazer and a button down or continue with my T-shirt look? I will do as you guys want. Okay, Theodore. Me and I had a whole bunch of guys over last night, 12 guys watching the football game. After that game ended, Sports Desk came on and nobody said a word. We watched the Ohtani highlights like this. Like, What are we witnessing?
Exactly.
And this guy's a pitcher.
Baseball's not the lead story on a Friday in football season. It just isn't, unless somebody does something like Shohei Ohtani did last night and has done all season, meaning something that's never been done before in a century and a quarter of Major League Baseball. So we got to talk about it. And look, the Dodgers were $2 favorites against Miami yesterday. Ohtani hit one of the home runs against an infielder who was throwing 68 miles an hour. They're supposed to win the game. Then again, the total was 8. so Ohtani ended up driving in 10 runs, going over the total by himself. And of course, by the end of the game, after hitting home runs with his last 3 at-bats and stealing a couple of bases early, he became the first member of the 51-51 club. But, 6 of 6, 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 5 extra base hits, 10 RBIs as a leadoff hitter. The first player ever with 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases in the game, and many more first player ever. And then, of course, Ohtani after the game, quote, "If I'm being honest, it was something I wanted to get over with as soon as possible because the balls were being changed every time I was up to bat. He was like, get this over with." Gavin Lux for LA, quote, "That has to be the greatest baseball game of all time. It has to be. There's no way. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anyone do that, even in little leagues. It's so crazy that he's doing that at the highest level." And look, I'm a sports bettor, first and foremost. But sometimes sports just makes you say, wow. And last night was that. It is worth noting the Dodgers are minus 240 against the Rockies today. After the plane, champagne, they clinched a playoff spot, and they took a long flight home. Might not be the best spot to lay this price with LA against Colorado today, especially with Freeland pitching fairly well of late. That's what I learned last night. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
I'm back. Teddy, man. Feeling good. What do you think? Wow. Quick change, baby. And Dan got to see the pecs. Those pecs are good, Dan, hey? Come on. Okay, Dan, we know.
No one was paying attention to you changing, dude.
I know, but come on. So this would be the other look, peeps. So help me out. Whatever you people vote on is how it will be. I have some killer lasers. Yeah, Teddy, I want to be Ohtani for a day. But it would be nice if he learned English. Just throwing that out there, given that he does work in America and, the media love him. Gianni the Greek, are you here with us?
Yes, sir. God bless America. Woke up to $2,600 gold an ounce this morning, Prez. So it's celebration in the streets. You should be as happy as I am this morning. It's a good time to be alive.
Well, Gianni, it certainly is a good time to be alive. And I'm focused completely on Bitcoin, which has gone up 5K in the last 3 days. So I'm happy about that.
I bought some 2 weeks ago at 52. Bought a little at 52, but planned to get out of it. I planned to get out. That was just for a trade, a swing trade, because it just dipped a little too low.
Well,
I'll put a little bit in cold storage, a very little, but I plan on trading it once it gets up to that high again. It's going to go.
I think you're at 63. You're at 63 now, and I did say to you, Gianni, that I think sometime in November we're going to see an all-time high. So that might be the time to sell. Brother, let's get into it. We got a big show. We got the Mad Russion still to come. We love having you on, and we want to have as much Gianni as possible. So let's start Saturday. You like the Vols, Tennessee, -7 here. Tell us why.
I really do. Here's a situation where usually, if you've been following me, you would think I'd be on the opposite team, that this is exactly what I look at. A team that just has looked way too good, meaning, Marco talks about this. I use his quote all the time. You're never as good or as bad as you look on any one game. And Tennessee's just looked phenomenal. When you score 69 points, 51 points, 71 points, and more importantly, over the last 2 weeks, your defense has only allowed 10 points while you've put up 122, you're usually going to be overvalued in the betting market. Doesn't mean you're going to lose, but it usually means you're paying a premium to back a team in this spot. And if you do it continuously, you're not going to make money. With that said, we're finding an opportunity where that's not the case because they're playing Oklahoma and they're playing on the road. That's key here. It's the SEC opener for Oklahoma. There's all this hype around it. And that's the reason we're getting the much better team who's already on fire and not having to pay that premium. If it was any other team, not a high-profile matchup, I'd be looking to fade Tennessee. But instead, we're expecting them to take a step up because I'm a fan of regression towards the mean, but when you look at the level of competition they faced, all they've done is run through exactly who they're supposed to run through. And as power raters, anyone that power rates, they should have been upgrading Tennessee a little bit while downgrading Oklahoma in the process. So I just think these two teams are getting further and further apart. And when we look back 8 weeks from now, 6, 7 weeks from now, we'll say this should have been a double-digit spread. Tennessee should have been laying double digits on the road here. I am not afraid of the freshman quarterback. I think they'll be able to run even against that stout defensive line. And once they do that and have a little balanced attack, Tennessee will have no problem covering that 7 points on the road. Lay the Volunteers, lay the points, and I'm all over Tennessee. Just don't tease it. Don't tease it. Lay the points.
Don't tease in college football in general. I, too, will be breaking down that game in my big game breakdown in just a few moments. So I'm not going to ask you a follow-up on that. I am going to ask you about the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, Cleveland minus 6.5 total, 38.5 pretty much across the board. Are we laying, or are we taking, or are we looking at the total? Talk to me, Browns.
We are going to lay the points here with the Cleveland Browns, Teddy. And once again, do not tease this one. Wong teasers last week went 3-2. There were 5 positions opportunities, so that meant 20 combinations. They went 3-2. You would have hit 10 of them. You would have turned a little bit of a profit, probably. But if you're going to Wong tease, you got to do it the entire season. There'll be that week where you make a lot of money, but along the way, you got to have the bankroll to do it because there'll be that short term, like that, in that little sample size where you're getting crushed, where they just don't hit. But long term, they will. But this is not one that falls under it. Here's the bottom line with the Browns. They've been having those offensive line issues early on and having troubles protecting Watson. But it seems they're getting healthier and healthier and healthier. And this Giants team, as good as the defensive line, at least coming into the season, was expected to be, you can only do so much when your secondary is that weak and teams just have no trouble throwing the ball against you. And then on the flip side of the football, they just can't do anything on offense. And they haven't even played good defensive sound teams, really. And they cannot move the football. On the road in Cleveland, that will be a problem. I like the Cleveland Browns. Another spot where I think this line should be much higher, but it's early in the season, and we're able to get a much better football team at a discount, what I think. And the Giants, again, they're just an ugly team, a team that you want to look for spots to fade. You don't want to look for spots to bet a team like the New York Giants. And again, I think this was a good spot, them coming off a 3-point loss to a division rival on the road. And now you got to travel once again to Cleveland. Just a terrible spot for the Giants. I think they get crushed by Cleveland on Sunday.
Gianni, I'm going to throw a quick follow-up at you, if you don't mind. Where are we at with Myles Garrett, Ward, Njoku, Judy? There's a massive amount of Cleveland Browns that are sitting on the questionable list right now. And, man, Myles Garrett and TJ Ward, I mean, that's a massive loss if they don't play on Sunday. That's what worries me.
Not to mention both starting offensive tackles.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we're not looking at
starting offensive tackles. And for the record, I do prefer the under in that game. Are you okay with that bet if all of these guys don't make the field on Sunday?
I don't think all of them will not make the field, but more importantly, that's something that was been talked about from the beginning of the week. I think it's baked into the cake, and I think it's why we're not looking at a 7 on the Cleveland Browns, even though they attracted
Myles
sharp money.
Garrett and TJ Ward are only worth half a point in a game where the total is low and Danny Dimes
I don't even think combined.
I don't
think combined they're worth half a point. I don't think combined. Maybe combined they're worth half a point if you throw in a couple more players. But we overvalue players. If anything, that's the one thing you could be sure of, that the market's going to overvalue injuries more than anything else. There's nobody on the field worth more than a half a point that's not a quarterback. It's just, there's just not in today's NFL. Just because even the running backs, those stud running backs, it's not the case anymore. It's running back by committee. So you just don't have those players anymore that are worth that much. And if anything, I think that's how you could take advantage by backing some of these teams with injuries where the market's overreacting. Because I think we would be seeing a 7 here, which is such a key number, where instead I was able to get a 6.5 and even flat. So again, I am worried about injuries. It's always a concern. But I do think it's NFL injuries week in, week out. The sports books are way ahead of it. Most of those injuries are factored and baked into the cake. And I just think the market usually overreacts. It's not the book that overreacts. It's we, the market, overreacts. And I think you take advantage of it the other way more times than not, unless you get out ahead of the injury. But very few people can do that, get that kind of information. So we'll see.
Gianni
the
injury
report by Saturday.
At Greek_gambler. Dude, you just almost finished and then went on another phrase, then almost finished and then another phrase like 4 times there. You know better than that. When you're coming down, you got to let the guy in. Gianni, one of the strengths of your segment here every week, and of course, this is not the only show that you do. You also do your Steam Room on the weekends. You do WagerTalk Last Call on the weekends. But one of your specialties, one of the reasons that our audience loves having you on, is your ability to look at the card in depth. Talk about some of the moves you're making right now. You can start in college, you can start in the NFL, and then switch to the other. But talk about some of the moves you've made, let's say in the last 24 hours, you're looking to make in the next 24.
All right, we're looking to bet South Florida over Miami, Florida as home dogs. Just waiting to see how that line gets up, because you started seeing some public money come in on the Miami side over South Florida. So looking to get over 17.5. I'm not sure where it sits right now. Haven't looked yet. A couple totals. Utah, Oklahoma State over 52, over 52.5. Tennessee, I already gave you. LSU minus the 24. Navy plus 10.5, plus 10. And at 9.5, a lot of the value, I think, has been extracted, but you should see some 10s come back tomorrow, because Memphis is one of those teams that have been getting public money. UL Lafayette as home dogs plus 3.5. And one more total I'll give you: Virginia, Coastal Carolina under 56, under 55.5, under 55. That one's legit. And Friday night tonight, they're on San Jose State plus the 12.5. Not a lot of volume, but those are legit moves in college football.
Gianni, awesome stuff, brother. I'm really excited about
NFL.
Yeah.
Quick NFL. NFL. You definitely need some quick NFL.
I was about to. But
Thank you, sir. We'll go straight down the list. Steelers, leaning on the Steelers side. Bears and over. Texans minus 1.5. Texans minus 2. Go down to the Browns. I gave you the Browns. Broncos plus the touchdown and over. That's one of those where it's kind of got dummied down. The total got dummied down to 39 and then slammed over all the way up to that 41 range. Tennessee minus the 1.5, 2.5. Drop down to the Dolphins. Dolphins plus the 6.5. Overreaction on the injury. If you compare it through the look ahead, I agree with that. Also went over there. Over Lions Cardinals. That's going to be the public darling for sure in that late afternoon game. But the wise guys and the public will both be on the over. Who's going to bet the under in the Lions Arizona game? That'll be tough to do. And then down this Sunday Night Football, it's been the Atlanta Falcons that have been getting the money. Not surprising. Atlanta Falcons got steamed in the first week, got steamed against the Eagles on Monday Night Football, and now they're getting some more money on Sunday Night Football. And finally, on Monday night, we have 2 games, and it's the Commanders that are getting the sharp money at above a touchdown. So those are the some of the NFL that we've been looking at as far as the sides go, and one of those totals, Denver over.
Gianni, before we let you go, I got to ask you about are you surprised the Commanders are taking money on Monday night? Of all the things you said, that just stood out like a sore thumb to me. It's like, who's betting Washington and why in a game? And now, when we would expect the public to drive that line up.
That's what I would think too, Teddy. I haven't bet it yet. I'll be honest with you. I moved it, but I didn't piggyback anything on top of it either. The thing that stuck out to me was the injuries on Cincinnati. Is it a case of getting out ahead of some of those injuries? But we just talked about, usually it's an overreaction to those injuries. I mean, since he's looked weak on defense, really weak. So maybe it's a case of Washington will be able to put up some points, or the back door will stay open. There's not a lot to like on the Washington side. I 100% agree with you, other than getting a ton of points. But yeah, that one's tough to swallow. And it'll be interesting leading into a Monday if that line even climbs a lot higher, because I think there'll be a lot of teasers and even money line parlays tied into the Bengals just to win on Monday night. Like that looks like the survivor pick of this week to me. I think you may get a lot of risk on the Bengals come Monday night. You may not have to bet. If you like the Commander's side, I'd wait personally.
Gianni the Greek. Sunday on Last Call. I'm with you on Last Call on Sunday.
Love it.
You're the best, dude. It's such a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for joining us, my brother. Anything quick to promote?
Yeah, double steam room this week, Saturday and Sunday. I think it's important enough to be there and answer all the questions. And more importantly, most of my subscribers, they're sports bettors, they're handicappers themselves. So I like them to get prepared, have all their positions ready. And then once we get in there, I help them confirm, or they could ask questions about any matchup they want. And I could let them know, this is what I see, this is what I like, and help them confirm their own position. So we're going to have the steam room open, I think open for everyone on Saturday, but on Sunday for the NFL subscribers only. I go over each NFL game, cover any props that are available, any over-unders, team totals, all that good stuff. And I'm there to answer questions and help you manage risk correctly. Join us in the steam room. Thanks for having me, Prez. Love you, Teddy. Huge fan of both of you guys. And again, appreciate you sharing some time with me.
Always, my brother. Guys, before we get to Teddy's big game breakdown, couple of quick things. So we're running, firstly, can we get some likes, please? It would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button. Thank you very much. Also, 172,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for that. Let's get to 180. So I just want to make mention that while we're live, when we do this show live, we are running two different streams. We are running our regular stream, which is the entire show, and then we're running what we call our short clip stream, which is our second stream. I'm never in the short stream. So if you guys have questions to ask, because I did for the first time in my life log into the short stream now, and like for instance, Anthony Marquez wrote a question, Teddy, since the season started in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. I don't read these questions in the short stream. So if you guys want to ask a question of Teddy or of me, please be in the regular stream. The short stream is optimized for phones. The regular stream is optimized for computers. I cannot be in both at the same time. So if we can all just amalgamate into the desktop one, the large screen, it'll also get our likes up, and I will be able to see and communicate with you. Now that we have said that, Teddy, I know you saw me laughing throughout Gianni's segment. Me and Dan were having a field day, but I can't tell you why. It's time for your big game breakdown.
No, what was the guy's question? You read half the question, and then you stopped in the middle.
Okay. Teddy, since the season started in the NFL, I've bet every game on the under so far. So good, including last night's Jets game. That wasn't a question. It was just a statement. And I was on the under last night. I'm going to roll this Sunday, bro. I am killing it this Sunday. So I'm going to calm down. Namaste. Half price Friday, everybody. My college is up. My NFL is up. If you're going to play them, half price Friday. I fake not knowing about it earlier in the show so we can talk about it longer. Teddy, it's time for your big game breakdown.
So why on earth is Tennessee a touchdown favorite in Norman, Oklahoma against the Sooners this weekend in the SEC opener ever for Oklahoma? Well, here's why. In week one, Oklahoma beat Temple 51-3. Temple was -6 in turnovers. Oklahoma went 1 of 12 on third downs. They finished with just 5.4 yards per pass. Again, that's a 51-3 win, but the box score clearly shows that it was all about turnovers. It wasn't about that Sooners offense clicking on all cylinders. They went up 14-0, and their next drives went punt, field goal, touchdown, field goal, 6-yard drive, touchdown, punt, field goal, punt. When bottom feeders are getting run over, the drive charts look like this. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Oklahoma couldn't do that. They had a single third down conversion in that ballgame. Then they played Houston the next week. They finished the game with 15 first downs and 249 yards of offense. This against Houston, rebuilding Houston. Last week against Tulane, just as many offensive problems. They got the money, but it wasn't pretty. Less than 350 total yards. Time of possession against Tulane even. 5 punts, 2 field goals. Not touchdown, 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 touchdown. And oh, by the way, they've got injuries everywhere. The offensive line riddled with injuries. The wide receiving corps banged up too. Multiple guys are now probable, but it's not a healthy receiving corps, and it's an offensive line that may have some real concerns this weekend. Before I talk about Tennessee, I do want to let you guys know a great offer we have right now. I always say don't buy a play, buy a package. If you want to get on board, you can get a combo season pass right now. College football, NFL, get every play every day. You take $100 off. Just use promo code FBALL100, football 100, FBALL100 at checkout, and take $100 off that combo season pass. I encourage you to get on board. And of course, it's half off Friday. So all daily packages today only half off at WagerTalk.com. So with Tennessee, we've established at Oklahoma, there's some weaknesses perhaps. We know what Tennessee's going to do. They're going to score points. If you're going to cover against Tennessee, you got to trade scores with them. This is what they've done on the road in the SEC in recent years. All right. They hung 62 at Missouri. They won 40-13 at LSU. They hung 45 at Kentucky. They hung 56 at Vandy. They hung 51 at NC State on a neutral already this year. All right. This offense will score. And if you're going to cover, you better score with them. I don't think the Sooners can do that. I respect the early money that drove this line up. And I think Oklahoma will win by margin. What do you think? Let me know with a comment below. We appreciate the likes. We appreciate the follows very, very much. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Teddy, I'm going to hijack the show quick and ask you something about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, good.
What the hell is going on with this team? Are they a fade now moving forward? I mean, they've been an absolute mitigated disaster for about 9 games. I think they're 2-9 in their last 11, something like that. 2-7 in their last 9. What do we do with this team moving forward?
So I have been below market on Philly all of last year, and I've been below market on Philly this year. So the Eagles' struggles have not surprised me. All right. They really haven't. And I would not be surprised if they continue. All right. There were, how do we phrase this polite? There were disconnect issues between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts last year that were very clear. They came out in the offseason. We're talking about a team that's now had 3 offense coordinators and 3 defense coordinators the last 3 seasons. So another new offense, new defense. I like the organization in Philly very much. Harry Roseman has put together, and I like their drafting philosophy. I like the fact that they stack talent on the offensive and defensive lines. But when you've got cluster injuries at receiver, and you got a defense that has lots of question marks, and you have the track record that the Eagles have had, there was lots of support for Philly this offseason to win the division, to go over their win total. That wasn't me. So I would love to fade the Saints this week, but I ain't betting Philly. So I guess there's your answer right there.
Yeah, Teddy covers. I like the over in that game, brother. I think we're going to see a shootout. And shout out to Kubiak. Man, the Saints scored on their first 15 drives this year. That's got to be close to a record. I mean, I don't know if it's a record. Let's ask the Mad Russian, who's not mad nor Russian. How are you, Jeff?
Amazing, Lawrence, Teddy. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's a pleasure always.
Jeff, why are you so nice? Like honestly, every time we speak to you, you're like the kindest, sweetest guy.
I do the best I can. It's just in my nature, man. I grew up this way, and I that's just who I am. I just carry it on my sleeve, I guess. So I have 0 enemies, maybe 1.
So Jeff, the nice American Petch, we have a new name, a new nickname for the Jeff. So Carmine and I are in the circa. We suck. We're currently 7-3, but the 7 are losses.
Yeah.
Where are you?
500.
5-5.
Yeah, 5-5. Yes, sir. 5-5. And it's been difficult, but I'll tell you, I looked up 7-3. You say 7 wins, 3 losses. I swear it was only about 3% of the group, and I could be wrong on that number. I hope I'm right, but I looked it up yesterday. I think everybody's struggling. The top consensus picks over the last couple of weeks have been garbage.
Yeah, 0-9, 0-9. I think it was. How did you cash a check? 0-10, the Philadelphia loss.
Feeling lost on Monday night. Yeah.
How do you cash a check with the name Mad Russion on it?
I had to get my name changed. It's my middle name. If I told you my real middle name, you would understand why I had it changed. I don't know what my parents were thinking. I'm just going to share it. It's Herbert, and it's embarrassing. So Mad Russion sounds a heck of a lot better than Herbert.
Okay, Herbs, let's go. You should never have told me that, brother.
Oh, man.
So we spoke about the Eagles and the Saints, Teddy and I, briefly, and I can't get my head around the Eagles right now. You look at this team and you think, man, there is so much freaking talent on offense, and they just can't seem to get out of their own way, and there really is a clear disconnect going on, not only between the coach and the players, but and Jalen Hurts, but it just seems between the coach and everybody, and the coach and himself. Brain cramp galore against Atlanta at the end of that game. Now we have the Saints at the highest market value they have been in years. -2.5, hosting the Eagles. I don't want to bet the Saints here, Jeff. I'm worried. I think their stock price is too high. But like Teddy said, I cannot bet Philadelphia. I'm personally looking at the over. Where are you going?
I hopped on this game early at the Saints +1. It's gone now, obviously. I don't love the line movement, but I still like them at -2.5. I mean, the Eagles are obviously reeling off that devastating Monday Night Football loss. They had a 97% chance of winning that thing with under 2 minutes. A loss like that is so extremely difficult to recover on, especially on a short week and being on the road. I just don't see how these players can look Sirianni straight in the face. I mean, let's not forget this is the same group that quit on him last year, and they lost 6 of 7. So, this Eagles defense, I think they've been struggling against the run. I see Kamara is going to be absolutely explosive again this week. And like you mentioned earlier, the OC Kubiak, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a head coach next year. He's hitting on all cylinders. There's only one team in the NFL so far in recent history that scored more in 2 games than them. And they gained 310 yards in the first half against a very good defensive front for Dallas. So I think a big key to their success is their O-line. Their left guard, Patrick, and center McCoy are both ranked #1 in their positions by PFF. And they've only given up as a unit 2 sacks all year. The biggest factor for me in this game is no A.J. Brown. If you look at Hurts' career versus without having A.J. Brown, 12, 20, and 1. In his career. His points per game dropped from 27.9 down to 22.6. And this is a big one. His passing yards dropped from 233 down to 148. So I see everything pointing in the Saints' direction. I don't think they're the greatest thing on turf or whatever it was when Warner was there, but I do think that they're going to win this game at home.
So, what do we do with a team like New Orleans? I mean, and the NFC South in general, this was supposed to be the worst division in football. Tampa's looked pretty good so far. New Orleans has looked like a real team. Atlanta has shown that they're live. Right. Is this division better than people thought that it was, Jeff? And is there bet on potential for the NFC South?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it is. I mean, Atlanta, I've got Atlanta this week too as well. I think that they might pull off that W against the Chiefs. So I'm a little bit surprised with the Bucs. I'm going to the game this weekend, so I'll be able to see them live with Kelly in Vegas. But I don't think they're a 9-win team, Teddy. I really don't. But I do think that this Saints team has potential to win 9 or 10. Looking at their schedule yesterday, and I think Atlanta will be right there. I think it'll be a 2-man race.
Jeff, the Mad Russian, Petch, joining us, everyone. And Jeff, just to let you know, so you feel better about your middle name. Teddy and I love Herb. We have loved Herb for many, many, many years. We have spent time rolling Herb, smoking Herb, eating Herb. Now we are talking to Herb. It holds a dear spot in my life. I don't know who's being a dick, Dan. Get rid of that thing. We're trying to compliment his middle name here. So, Colts, Bears. I know a lot of people who like the Bears here, Jeff, and I don't get it. I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to bet on the Colts. I actually have a play coming up after you on that game. But I don't see how anyone can bet the Bears right now. Where are you going?
Caleb struggled last week, 174 yards, 4.7 yards per attempt, 2 INTs, 51% QB rate. He actually led the team in rushing with 44 yards. That's a huge negative. You cannot put your rookie quarterback in that spot. He's running for his life out there. And then you look at their O-line. I mean, Jenkins, there's a chance left guard could be out. The center, Bates, he went on the IR last Saturday. His replacement, Nate Davis, they've been high on him in 2 years. No Keenan Allen and no Adunze. Adunze is not 100%. No Keenan Allen. On a positive note, though, I will tell you this Bears defense is the real deal. I mean, they're playing lights out. They're top 6 in the league as far as I'm concerned. These guys played their guts out last week and kept them in the game. But going back to my coaching and playing career, that not a really career, didn't get out of high school, but when you're on the defensive side. When you're on the defensive side of the ball, guys, and your offense puts up one offensive touchdown, it gets old quick. It gets old real quick. Now I know that the Colts lost Buckner, which is a huge blow, and then they're without their strong safety and one corner, Brents. But even with those losses, I just don't see this Shane Steichen team being 0-3. Indy's O-line is ranked number 1 right now, PFF through 2 weeks. I think that Taylor is going to run with an absolute passion after being benched in the fourth quarter last week. Indy's last home game, they had 4 sacks in that game. Considering this Bears Swiss cheese O-line, they gave up 7 last week. I think that Indy's going to be north of 4 sacks with this hostile crowd. So I'm going to take Indy here to get back on the winning track. Steichen knows you go 0-3, you're not making the playoffs.
So this is basically a pick'em type game. And of all the guys I want to ask you about, Matt Gay is the guy I want to ask you about. All right. Matt Gay missed field goal last week. He's hurt. This is the type of scenario where it's like a missed field goal or a missed extra point can screw your whole bet. How worried are you that we're going to see Indy in a situation like we saw the Giants in last week where they didn't have a kicker and ended up costing their backers basically a bet?
It's definitely a concern, and I got to be honest, Eddie. I didn't take that into consideration as much as what I should have. Now that you bring it up, so it does make me a little bit nervous. And I hate kickers; we all do in these spots. But I think hopefully, what I'm planning on is a touchdown win, and we don't have to worry about it.
Jeff, Petch, brother, what do you have to promote?
So right now I'm offering my Sunday all access package. It's $39. It does include a 5% play too as well along with it. And if everyone uses the promo code MAD20, you'll get 20% off that package. So would love to have you a part of it. Right now there's a 5% play in there along with 4 other additional plays. I might add one more, to be honest.
Okay, well, don't lie. That would be bad. And especially a man who likes Herb. Yeah.
I've got to tell you that when Teddy had me sold on Oklahoma, so I got that bet in right before I came online. So he talked me into that one.
I'll tell you, I give Teddy a lot of shit, Jeff, but I think he breaks down games better than anybody on the planet.
The guy,
you got to hear his opening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
It's definitely worth noting, though. I did not recommend a play on Oklahoma. I recommend a play on Tennessee. So if you listen to my analysis and just bet Oklahoma, me and you are on very different sides.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it backwards. You're right. You're right. I'm wrong. Tennessee. Yep. Sorry about that.
It's the Tennessee game. It ain't the Oklahoma game.
That's it. Yep. Thanks for correcting me.
Jeffrey, I got to show you something to end the show. Herb.
There's the Herb.
Later, my brother. Take care of yourself.
I'm regretting this one.
Oh,
one.
dude,
See you, boys.
Dude, I'm dining out forever on it. Teddy, what a fun show. What a great week. Dude, best of luck this week in both college football and NFL. I hope you kick ass, my friend. Take us home. And then
Thank you. I hope you do as well. And I don't get any ridiculous text from you on Sunday telling me that you hate your life. Because those are less fun than maybe they're fun to you. Yeah, it's like I don't respond. I just let Prez every Sunday. Prez tells me how much he hates his life. But that being said, I don't hate my life. I love my life, and I appreciate all of you taking time out of your busy day to spend with us here on WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again next week, every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon back east. Of course, we got WagerTalk last call on the weekends. We got Steam Room. We have a ton of other great content. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate the follows. And best of luck with all your bets. Stay tuned right now for Lawrence's daily presidential address. Cheers.
Welcome, everybody, to the daily presidential address. I got a bet for you guys on the Chicago-Indianapolis game. Before we get into that, I want to point out that it is half price Friday over at WagerTalk. Any package put up today is half price. I have a 4-pack of college football tomorrow, and I have 7 NFL bets going on Sunday. I also think I'm going to roll this weekend. I think last Saturday was a nightmare, and Sunday I kissed my sister 3-3 day. So I really believe in all sincerity that I'm going to have an incredible week. On my 11 plays, I think I'm going to go 11 plays. Yes, I think I'm going to go 7-4, the worst case scenario. I also have a couple of 4% plays up, and I'm on a 24-8 run in those plays. So, guys, please take a minute, head over to WagerTalk, check out my page, and get both my college football and NFL for half price. Okay, so let's get into this game. Chicago playing Indianapolis, and a public service announcement first. I want to apologize to all Chicago Bear fans. Last week, I told you that their offense stinks. I was right. I told you that their coach stinks. I still think he stinks. I told you that their pizza stinks. I'm 100% convinced their pizza stinks. But I was wrong about their defense. This Chicago Bears defense is lights freaking out. Last year, they were the number one defense in stopping the run, and they really struggled in stopping the pass. Man, they looked great last week in stopping the pass as well against Houston, and I think this defense is for real. So here we have a total of 43.5, and one of these two teams have scored a grand total of one touchdown in 2 full games. And they haven't exactly been playing the 85 Bears or the Ray Lewis-led Baltimore Ravens. Let's assume the Chicago Bears, who can't score, double their output in touchdowns from the last 2 games combined. That's 14 points. Let's add a field goal in there and call it 17 points. That means that the Colts have to put up 25 points for this game to go over. Now, that is a big ask for this Indianapolis Colts team, who only put up 10 against Green Bay last week. That is a big ask for this Indianapolis Colts team, who are playing the Chicago Bears defense, who I think might have a top 5 unit in all of football. But put all that aside. The real big ask is Chicago putting up 17 to begin with. I don't see how this game goes over. Here is what we know. The Bears will hold teams to under 20 points per game on average, and they will score under 17 points per game on average. We know that the Bears will continue to run the ball. We know that the Bears will throw 5-yard passes. We know that the Bears will need 3 downs to move the chains, and we know that the Bears have a lights out defense. We also know that Indianapolis is not some offensive juggernaut. They only put up 10 against Green Bay last week. How the hell is this game 43.5? This is a stone cold under. Take Chicago and Indianapolis under the total of 43.5. See you all on Sunday. Last call. I'll be there with Gianni And make sure to buy my packages for this weekend half price. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love.